The Senate has agreed to advance that bipartisan infrastructure bill. 17 Republicans, including Mitch McConnell, joined Democrats to move it forward. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg has been a key voice on this. He joins us now. Secretary Pete, this is an important and historic moment, but it's also procedural. I don't want to throw cold water on it because America needs optimism, but Mitch McConnell has made it very clear he is not on board with the Biden agenda. Besides optimism, what gives you confidence he's not going to pull the rug out when it comes time to vote on this?
Well, we just saw 17 Republican senators stick their necks out alongside Democrats saying we've got to do this. Now, look, there's a lot of the president's economic vision that isn't going to have Republican support, although I think it should. I think things like paid family leave for every American should be a bipartisan priority. But be that as it may, there's this other part of the agenda having to do with physical infrastructure, transportation infrastructure, broadband, digital infrastructure, water, that it turns out we can actually agree on, even in this bitterly divided Washington. There has been tons of spade work going on for months, putting together this deal. About a month ago, we saw the outlines of it announced with the president, but that was a framework. Now we actually have a legislative vehicle in the Senate. You're right, this is not a done deal. It still has to actually turn into a finalized package in the Senate. Obviously would have to succeed in the House and then get to the president's desk to be signed. But this was a major, major hurdle that was cleared last night with help from both Republican and Democratic senators.
I want to stay on that because I know there are things you want passed on the human infrastructure side. However, if Republicans wanted it, they would have put it in the first bill. If Democrats push the human infrastructure bill too hard too soon, are you concerned that you could lose both?
Well, I think in many ways what we're doing is we're calling the question. You know, a lot of folks in the spring when the president said that we want to do all these things, some people looked at our vision on childcare or building up veterans hospitals and improving them and said, look, that's great. We just don't think it's infrastructure, so it should be in a different package. Well, now it is in a different package, and they can vote however they may on that. But on this part, the idea that we need to fix our roads and bridges that we've been underinvesting in for decades, the idea that we've got to do much more on public transit as a country, especially because that also has climate implications, the need for us to have electric vehicle charging infrastructure across this country, all of these things that I think every legislator here in Washington, Republican or Democrat, goes home and hears about as their constituents say, what are you going to do about the airport? What are you going to do about the hole in the road? What are you going to do about our bridge? That, it turns out, is creating this powerful propulsion that appears to be cutting through even the worst of the partisan divide in Washington right now. It'll take a lot of work to see it through, but it's taken a lot of work to get to this point.
Certainly. What is the first thing the American people are going to see if this bill actually gets passed? It's a lot of money, and there are people who say we need these things, but we don't trust that the government will get it done.
Well, what you're going to notice is a lot of projects that maybe are underway or were about to happen will be accelerated. Remember, there is a pipeline of things that, for example, my friends in the community of American mayors have been wanting to do in their community for years if they just had the resources to do it with. Transit agencies, states, you name it, have a pipeline of projects from things that are just about already underway to things that are going to take years to build. This is one important point I want to mention because a lot of us remember 2009, the stimulus package, the shovel-ready projects. This is a bigger vision. As part of it's about shovel-ready things that you're going to see within months underway of this bill being signed. But this is about making sure that America is ready throughout the 2020s into the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So it's a long-term vision for the future of our economy, and it's going to create millions of jobs over that long term.
We'll be ready if we're healthy. Today, the president is going to announce a vaccine mandate for federal workers. That's 2 million vaccines. What took so long? Why haven't we done this already?
Well, I don't want to get ahead of the White House or the president's announcement. What I will say is that I think a lot about the well-being of our employees just within the Department of Transportation. We've got about 55,000 people who work in this agency. Many of them, by the way, didn't have the option to work from home. They're keeping air traffic safe in those air traffic control towers. They're out doing inspections, making sure that vehicles and critical infrastructure is safe. And of course, I'm thinking about the well-being of those employees. And I think a lot of organizations are doing the same. We've got to do it in a way that is, of course, respectful of where people are coming from and of their individual decision-making. But at the end of the day, vaccines are necessary for people to protect themselves and to protect one another. And I think that principle is one you're going to be hearing about more and more, hopefully not only from us in the administration and from the president, but from community leaders who can often be much more persuasive than anybody in Washington. A trusted doctor, a trusted faith leader, a trusted local leader or family member, reassuring those they love or those who turn to them for advice that this is safe, that this is effective, and that this is incredibly important if we're ever actually going to get to that normal where we say goodbye to the masks, where we're traveling safely wherever we want to go, and all of those other things that we miss from pre-pandemic life.
Get back to work on good roads. And when you get to work, I hope you're vaccinated. Secretary Pete, thank you for joining me this morning. That wraps up this hour.